I was very happy being a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing wrong with being a mother. There's actually more beautiful and emotional and powerful job title, if you will, being a mother.
The claims exploded online with the force of a scandal few saw coming. Not just accusations of dishonesty, but allegations so extreme they challenged the very foundation of a public life that had been carefully presented for years. At the center of the controversy is Erika Kirk, a figure already surrounded by scrutiny, now facing assertions that she may have fabricated both of her pregnancies and may not have any biological children at all. Supporters dismiss the claims as cruel and conspiratorial, while critics argue that the pattern of inconsistencies has grown too large to ignore, turning what once seemed like personal drama into a story with national attention and serious reputational consequences. The most shocking allegation driving this debate is the claim that Erika faked her pregnancies entirely. Those pushing this theory argue it goes far beyond previously exposed exaggerations or misstatements, calling it a far darker accusation than anything attached to her name before. They emphasize that pregnancy, childbirth, and motherhood are not minor biographical details, but defining life events, and that fabricating them would represent a level of deception unlike anything previously alleged. Importantly, these claims remain allegations, not proven facts, and no court or medical authority has confirmed them. Still, the intensity of the discussion reflects how deeply the public reacts when personal narratives appear to collapse under scrutiny. For critics, the issue is not just whether the pregnancies were real, but why so many unanswered questions remain if they were. For supporters, the allegations are seen as invasive attacks that cross moral boundaries, weaponizing speculation against a woman's body and private medical history. Those doubts did not emerge in isolation. They are rooted in what critics describe as a long pattern of contradictions in Erika's public statements. Over time, she has reportedly made claims about her personal life that later appeared inconsistent with available evidence. Examples frequently cited include statements about never dating before marriage, never drinking alcohol, and maintaining a carefully curated image of moral and personal purity. Detractors argue that documentation, witness accounts, and archived material paint a different picture, one that conflicts with the persona she presented. In their view, these discrepancies matter because they establish a precedent. If small details were misrepresented, they argue, larger claims deserve closer inspection. Defenders counter that personal growth, selective disclosure, or imperfect memory can explain many inconsistencies, and that revisiting youthful behavior does not justify questioning motherhood itself. Still, the accumulation of contradictions has fueled skepticism and created fertile ground for more extreme theories to take hold. Central to the pregnancy debate is what critics describe as a striking lack of evidence. In an age where public figures routinely document every stage of their lives online, skeptics point out that there are few, if any, clear pregnancy photos, medical confirmations, or consistent timelines publicly available. Aside from one ultrasound clip that has itself become a focal point of controversy, there is little visual or documentary material that critics consider convincing. They argue that Erika's otherwise highly public lifestyle makes this absence unusual, especially given how pregnancy often intersects with public appearances, travel limitations, and physical changes. Supporters respond that not everyone chooses to share such moments and that privacy remains a valid choice, even for someone in the public eye. Yet critics note that the selective nature of what was shared versus what was withheld has raised eyebrows, especially given Erika's willingness to publicly discuss other deeply personal and controversial experiences. That explanation of privacy has itself become a point of contention. Erika has stated that she chose to hide her pregnancies because they were sacred, private moments she wished to protect. Critics challenge this reasoning by pointing to her history of publicly sharing intensely personal aspects of her life, including emotionally charged experiences and public disputes. They argue that this selective privacy feels inconsistent, suggesting that the pregnancies were treated differently for reasons beyond personal boundaries. Supporters counter that individuals have the right to draw lines wherever they choose and that the sacredness of pregnancy can justify greater discretion. The clash highlights a broader tension in modern public life. When someone builds a platform through openness, how much privacy are they still entitled to without raising suspicion? Adding another layer to the controversy is the revelation of an estranged half-sister, Tonya Seigrist. Legal divorce records have reportedly confirmed Tonya's existence, contradicting Erika's long-standing silence on having siblings. Critics argue that this omission reinforces claims that Erika has selectively edited her personal narrative to fit a desired image. They see the half-sister revelation as evidence that significant family details were intentionally withheld, further undermining trust. Supporters respond that estranged family relationships are complex and deeply personal, and that choosing not to publicly acknowledge a sibling does not equate to deception. Still, for those already questioning Erika's credibility, the confirmation of a previously undisclosed sibling has become another data point in a growing list of inconsistencies. The debate intensified further with claims attributed to an anonymous whistleblower allegedly close to Tonya. According to these accounts, the source claims Erika was never pregnant and staged pregnancy-related visuals solely for appearances. As with any anonymous allegation, the lack of verifiable sourcing has drawn criticism, and responsible observers stress that such claims should be treated cautiously. However, critics argue that whistleblowers often remain anonymous out of fear of retaliation, and that the substance of the claims aligns with other perceived inconsistencies. Supporters warn that anonymous accusations are among the least reliable forms of evidence and can easily be weaponized to spread misinformation. The result is a polarized audience, with each side interpreting the same claims through entirely different lenses of trust and skepticism. Much attention has focused on the disputed ultrasound footage, which some critics argue raises technical and procedural questions. They point to alleged formatting issues, including name presentation and the use of Erika's maiden name, which they claim does not align with standard medical record practices. Medical professionals have weighed in cautiously, noting that record formats can vary widely between clinics and over time, especially depending on insurance, marital status, or administrative practices. Nonetheless, critics argue that these anomalies deserve clarification, particularly given how central the ultrasound has become to defending the pregnancy narrative. Supporters maintain that interpreting medical documents without full context invites misunderstanding and that partial footage cannot conclusively prove or disprove anything. Another flashpoint is a photograph Erika reportedly used to establish her whereabouts on September 9th, showing children said to be her own. Critics argue that the apparent ages of the children in the image do not align with publicly stated ages, raising doubts about whether the photo actually depicts her children. Supporters counter that judging children's ages from a single image is highly unreliable and that lighting, posture, and development can easily mislead viewers. Even so, the photo has become emblematic of the broader debate, evidence intended to settle questions instead deepening them. Questions have also been raised about Erika's statements regarding childbirth. At one point, she reportedly claimed to have undergone C-sections for both children. Later statements about wanting more children did not mention prior surgical complications, which critics argue would normally factor into such discussions. Medical experts note that while previous C-sections do influence future pregnancies, not all individuals discuss those details publicly. Critics, however, see the shifting narrative as another inconsistency that merits explanation. Supporters argue that simplifying or omitting medical details in casual conversation does not imply deception. All of these threads converge into a broader theory sometimes referred to as the SCP theory, which questions whether Charlie Kirk himself was deceived or complicit in presenting a false family narrative. Critics point to reports of donor-funded wedding expenses and public contradictions as reasons some now question the authenticity of the marriage and family story as a whole. Supporters reject this outright, calling it an unfounded leap that drags multiple people into speculation without evidence. What is clear is that the controversy has moved far beyond one allegation, evolving into a sweeping debate about image-making, truth, and the responsibilities of public figures. In the end, this story is less about proving a single claim and more about understanding how trust erodes when narratives conflict and transparency feels selective. Allegations remain unproven, defenses remain firm, and the truth, whatever it may be, has become obscured by speculation, emotion, and online amplification. What this controversy ultimately underscores is how quickly public confidence can fracture when personal stories intersect with power, influence, and unanswered questions, leaving audiences to sort through fragments of information in search of clarity. If you want to stay updated as this story continues to unfold, consider hitting the subscribe button for future uploads.